Hello, my name is Chris, and I'm the creator of Dave and Amy in Space. And as the title is about to say, this is an animation time-lapse. So I wanted to talk through what a typical shot is for me. This one's actually pretty simple. It's just Dave and Amy coming down the steps, and they kind of veer off into the hallway down there. I like this one because they don't go up and down stairs very often. Usually most of their movement is rather flat, so it seemed like a fun challenge just to have them traverse the steps in an interesting way. So for Amy, she has a little bit of wobble as she comes down the stairs. I'll bring that out a little bit more. At this stage, really, I'm just blocking the movements. It's really important just to kind of get a sense of what each character is doing in relation to the camera. So the camera, once I have a version that I like, as you'll notice earlier, I had two versions. The first one seemed a little bit too much. This kind of shot I really wanted to keep a little bit of distance. It didn't need to be a close-up, it didn't need to be super dynamic, just a little bit of movement, a little bit of energy, but they're still interacting with the frame versus dominating it. So I go back and forth a lot. So one second I'm animating and the next I'm working on lighting, for example. I do that because I'm just kind of feeling my way through these shots, and oftentimes I'll see things that bother me. In this case, it was just a little bit of the animation was kind of getting hidden by the lighting, so I added some lights. You know, I was going to do it anyways, but I might as well do it now so I can just see it better. That is one of the huge perks of working in Unreal, is you can do all this in real time. Back to Amy's pitch, roll, yaw, and all of her character movement. Everything comes out of that bottom piece of her rig right there that's highlighted. Her entire skeleton is attached to that bottom piece. It just makes it really fun to animate because she always has this wobble. She has this lean when she turns corners, this forward motion. I keep thinking of her a little bit like when a helicopter takes off. Well, both of those characters have that quality when they move, but with her it's a little more pronounced just because she's so top heavy. When she moves her head, for example, she goes off kilter a little bit. Like, all those little details are really, really fun to work on. Alright, so I decided in the middle of the shot that I didn't like the lighting, so I stripped out some of these point lights and basically replaced the whole hallway with fluorescent tubes. It's a complete waste of resources and energy for a long-distance space voyage to have 25 running fluorescent lights in an unused hallway, but you know what? In this particular storyline, that made perfect sense. So I went with it. One thing about lighting for me is I kind of like how the characters can just pass through lights. Not everything is lit around them as much as it is the environment is lit, and they move through it. And so all these lights have different levels. They all have different purposes. Sometimes it's to just provide a little bit of backlight. Other times it's just to put a little bit of light in the corners or reduce reflection, stuff like that. So all of those lights are typically at different levels. To my eye, it just makes it a little bit more interesting. Like, the shot is a little bit more dynamic and feels a little bit less planned. I don't use storyboards, I don't use animatics, I'm just feeling my way through these shots, and having that approach to lighting kind of brings out this weirdly naturalistic quality for a CG animated sci-fi robot comedy. Dave's bounce at the bottom of the steps there is my favorite part of this shot. To my mind, he sees those stairs and his first thought is, oh yes, it's a ride, and so he puts his hands up like he's on a roller coaster and just, goes straight down those stairs. I like to think that he intentionally taps off the bottom. He's perfectly capable of getting down those steps without hitting the bottom, but I think he just likes to. Alright, so eyes. Those are the last things I do just because they have to react to all the other motion that comes before it. Character motion, eye lines for the characters, where the camera is, all of these things. I really can't do their eyes until I have all the rest of those details figured out. Sometimes I will reverse those priorities if it really needs it. Like, if it's very, very performance dependent, then I will do the eyes first and then I will make everything kind of click into place around it. But in this shot, it's the motion to me that matters. It's the way the characters move. It's the way they interact with the camera. And so it's just a lot easier for me to set their eye lines and their eye performances after the fact. The nice thing about doing eyes late too is that I can play eye movements to camera. It just makes it a lot easier to read the performances. Another thing that I like to do late is Dave's hands, just because there's a little wobble when he moves. Like here, for example, when he hits the bottom, he does this little prance. And just, yeah, right there. That made me laugh. I don't know why he does it, but it just makes me smile. And also usually when he's still, his hands are straight down. When he's moving, they're slightly back. When he makes a sharp pivot, for example, they wobble. Like all those things, I want to make sure I have everything else in before I start doing hands. So that's one of the last steps. And those little things on the floor there, I don't know, something about the idea of a tripping hazard at the bottom of the steps also made me laugh. It's in line with the story. So the ceiling, I just decided was too clean, it was too neat, and decided to add a bunch of stuff to it. We've never really seen this set very much before, so it seemed like a good time to start changing things. Again, that's in line with how I do this show. I'll change things all over the place just because sometimes I just want to and feel like it needs it. And I'm also pretty careful of continuity too. But if you'll notice, there's little continuity errors all over the show, and most of them are intentional. I just thought it would be fun to do some of that. Like, look for coffee cups. There's a lot of coffee cups lying around in the show. Okay, the very last thing that I'll do on a shot is focus. So many things change in the animation process in a shot. So once the shot comes together, I really don't know where exactly they're going to be looking or where the camera's going to be needing to focus on, essentially. So focus is last, and it's also kind of my favorite part, just to see it all come together. That's why I save it for the end. So here's the final shot. Put some sequencers up on the screen just so you can kind of get a rough idea of what the actual keyframes look like. This one was actually a lot of fun. I love the shots where they have this dynamic movement. It's very fulfilling and rewarding. To be honest, most of the creative decisions in this show are made once a moment passes what I call the chuckle test. I work on something until it makes me chuckle, and then I stop. Alright, well thank you for watching. I appreciate you listening to me ramble about this stuff. It's fun to get to talk about it. New episodes coming soon.